This is Matthew Cratter from Trader University, and today I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin wallets, hardware wallets, software wallets, Bitcoin addresses, Bitcoin private keys, and really get back to basics, but also do it in a way that reveals some of the technical details behind them. So if you've been wondering about these things, be sure to watch this whole video. This is inspired by a question that Jeff Monica asked a couple days ago in one of my videos. These were the basic questions which we're going to be answering in this video. Can a wallet send Bitcoin to another wallet? Wallets have addresses. How do you connect the wallet to the blockchain? Can I send Bitcoin to a friend's wallet from my wallet without any exchange involved? Can I load my wallet from a BTC ATM directly? If a wallet is cold storage, do you temporarily make it hot to transfer? So we're going to talk about all these things. A wallet in general refers to something that stores your Bitcoin private key. A lot of people don't realize wallets do not store Bitcoin itself. Bitcoin itself almost doesn't exist. It exists only as a digital entry on the open ledger. That's the Bitcoin blockchain. And the Bitcoin blockchain tells the whole world who owns what UTXO is associated with what Bitcoin address. And so wallets exist to store your private keys and enable you to control, in other words, to move around your Bitcoin. There are two basic kinds of wallets. There are hot wallets. These are usually software wallets that you have on your phone or on your desktop. They're called hot wallets because they are connected to the internet, or they're on a device that's connected to the internet. As such, software wallets tend to be a little less secure because someone could hack into them. Someone outside from the internet could come onto your phone or desktop and hack into them and find your private key. Cold wallets are wallets that are just not connected to the internet. You might have heard this term cold storage, which I use. This basically means moving your Bitcoin private keys to a wallet that's not connected to the internet. And the most common form of these are what are called hardware wallets. They're actual physical devices, and major brands include Trezor, Blockstream Jade, Coldcard. These are all very good hardware wallets that have their own trade-offs as well. Maybe we can talk about that in another video. An example of a software wallet would be the Blue Wallet, which you can download to your desktop on your desktop computer or your laptop computer, or you can also use it on your phone with either iOS or Android. So that would be a software wallet, a hot wallet. Then there are hardware wallets like the Trezor. They look a little bit like what we saw in this picture. Right here. They're actual physical devices. They most often plug into your USB port, though you can also have wireless ones. So when you first create a wallet, whether you install the software wallet, or you buy a Trezor or a Blockstream Jade or a Coldcard, when you set it up, the wallet will create a private key on the spot. It won't be sent to you from the Trezor company. It will be created on your Trezor device completely independently, so the folks at Trezor don't know what your private key is. And this is very important for security, so you don't have to trust the employees or the executive team at Trezor, and you also don't have to trust that their systems don't get hacked by a hacker. So your wallet, when you set it up, whether it's a software wallet or a hardware wallet, it'll create a private key. Now, private key is a very simple thing. It's just a very large, randomly generated binary number. And it needs to be randomly generated. You don't want to try to make one of these up on your own. You could do it by rolling a special dice or something like that. But it's very important that it's randomly generated. Here's an example of a private key that I just created. Again, you can do this yourself, but you usually just let your Bitcoin wallet, your software wallet, or hardware wallet do it. Now, in case you can't tell, if you don't know anything about binary, this is actually a very, very large number. If we convert it to decimals, the decimal system, which is what we're almost used to, it is a number like this. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it or tell you what this is, but it's obviously a lot more than a quadrillion or a quintillion or a sextillion, etc. It goes way, way out here. So we have this problem. How can I remember a number like this? How can I remember a binary number like this? And I need to be able to store this and remember it because it basically controls my Bitcoin. If you're finding this video helpful so far, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button, especially if you've been watching my videos and haven't subscribed yet. I'd really appreciate it, and you'd really help out the channel if you just hit that subscribe button. Maybe share this video with a few friends as well. So we have this very large private key, this binary number that you can express in binary, which is what computers like to use, or you can express it in decimal. But we have this problem. How can we store this? How can we remember this? You never want to store something like this online. You don't want to upload it to iCloud, because anyone who has this number can basically take your Bitcoin, as we're going to see. So it's important to store it in a very secure manner. This is what Bitcoin wallets do. They either store it inside the hardware or they store it encrypted in the software. So what we can do is we can take each of these numbers, and what we're going to do is we're first going to arrange them. So we'll take this very large number, and we're first going to arrange it into 12 groups that each have 11 binary numbers in it. So this is the same very long number. I've just divided it up into groups of, there are 11 digits, I guess you would say, in each of these, and we have 12 different groups of them. And so this is the same number. I've just rearranged it to make it a little bit easier to see. So then what we're going to do is we're going to use something called the BIP39 word list. And this is a standard that we're going to talk about. The first thing we need to do is convert each of these into a decimal number. So we'll take this first one, we'll go online to a binary to decimal converter, we'll just paste it here in the binary value, we'll click convert, and we end up with the decimal value. Now in practice, you will not need to do any of this, but I just want to show you what your wallet is doing behind the scenes when it generates your recovery seed. So we take one of these binary numbers, we convert it to decimals. In this case, it's the number 538. Then we go to what's called the BIP39 word list. This is, I forget how many words it is. It's something like 2,048 words. And then we're just going to go down and look up number 538. So we'll scroll all the way down, and here's 538. The number is DRIP. So then what we're going to do is we're going to say this first binary number in decimals is 538, and then it's represented by the word DRIP. These are very special words where the first 4 letters of them are always different. So you can have this in different languages. It's most often seen in English. This is the BIP39 list. And so what we can do is we can go through and we can create that, we can convert that very long binary number. We first grouped it into groups of 11, and then we converted it to decimal, and then we converted it to a word. And so what we're going to end up with, I'm not going to do it right here, but we're going to end up with a group of 12 words. And each of these 12 words represents one of these binary numbers. And it's very easy. It'd be very difficult for anyone to remember or even write down a very long binary number, but it's fairly easy to remember and certainly easy to write down a list of 12 words in a certain order. It's very important they stay in the same order because we want this binary number to be the same. So this is what's called your recovery seed. It's basically a backup of your private keys. It can be 12 words, it can be 24 words, it can sometimes be a different amount. For the purposes of this example, I just wanted to keep it simple, so it's just 12 words. Now the amazing thing about this 12 words, this is your ownership of Bitcoin. You never really own Bitcoin, but you know a magic number, you know a magic 12 words that allows you to move your Bitcoin. That's what Bitcoin ownership consists of. So when someone goes to court and is trying to pretend they're Satoshi and have courts decide whether they own a certain amount of Bitcoin, and you probably know who I'm talking about, this is not how Bitcoin ownership is decided. You own Bitcoin. You control your Bitcoin if you know the private keys. And presumably if you're Satoshi, you would know your own private keys. You wouldn't have to go to some court somewhere in the world and have a judge try to award you ownership of your Bitcoin. So your recovery seed is a backup. It is your Bitcoin essentially, because if you know these 12 words in a certain order, you can move the Bitcoin. Now the real way this works is your wallet, as we said, will generate a private key, which is a very long binary number. That private key will then be used to derive a public key. You've probably heard the term XPub or YPub or ZPub. These are public keys. You don't want to share these either. But then your wallet will use these public keys to generate an unlimited number of public addresses, which it's okay to share. And you do need to share these if you want to receive some Bitcoin. So most often they start with BC1 these days. Though when we move to Taproot, as everyone moves to Taproot, there will be a slightly different prefix, I believe. But this is what a Bitcoin address looks like. I just generated this. I've never used it. It's a fresh one. Please don't send any Bitcoin here because you'll end up probably getting lost. But this is what a public address looks like. This is what you can share with people if you want to receive Bitcoin. And it's ultimately derived from your private key. And it's very easy for computers to tell that if you have Bitcoin at this public address, you can move it using your private key. So I could give this address to someone. If they're very generous, they could send me $1 billion worth of Bitcoin to this address, and I would be the only one who would control this address at that point. Once it's sent over to this address, the only person who can make it move from this address is someone who has the private key, either that long binary number or those 12 words. And this is really what spending Bitcoin means, or sending it. It means you have the private key and you can move it from this address to another address. So I could then send it to a friend. I could send it to an exchange and convert it into fiat, into US dollars or euros. But this is basically how it works. The wallet first generates a private key, that long binary number, that leads to a public key, and then you can generate unlimited public addresses. It's good practice to never reuse an address. Anyone who knows this address can look it up on the Bitcoin blockchain and see how many Bitcoin are sitting there. So you don't want to tell someone, or you want to try not to associate your personal information with a Bitcoin address. As I said, with these 12 words, which are your private keys, you can basically hold $1 billion in your head and walk or fly to a different country. This is why Bitcoiners are very mobile, and this is the problem that Bitcoin presents to governments that want to lock down their citizens and control them. This is something, Bitcoin is very much like gold in that it's scarce and it's etc. It's a very good form of money, but it's a much better form of money because it's much more mobile. It's easier to send around the world. Try moving $1 billion worth of gold. Try leaving your country with $1 billion worth of gold. You probably can't even leave your country with $1,000 worth of gold unless you're going on a private boat or something like that. So this is one of the great things about Bitcoin. You can control these amounts of money just using these words. And so if, for example, you're storing your Bitcoin, or more accurately, I should say you're storing your Bitcoin private keys on a Trezor, which you'll remember looks like this. It's a hardware wallet. If you're trying to do that and your Trezor gets burned up in a house fire, gets flooded or something, you can just buy another Trezor, or you can buy any other hardware wallet that's BIP39 compatible, like a Ledger or Coldcard or Blockstream Jade. And then you can just enter those 12 words onto your new Trezor, and your Bitcoin is restored. In other words, your private keys are restored to that device. Again, hardware and software wallets do not store Bitcoin. They store your private keys, but we can sometimes say that they store Bitcoin, especially to beginners, because essentially, if you have your private keys, you control and own the Bitcoin. A lot of people ask me, you can put the same 12 words on two different Trezors. You can have it on one Trezor and another Trezor in your same house or in two different locations. You can have those same 12 words on a Trezor and a Coldcard, etc. And the important thing, though, is probably to store these 12 words separately from your actual Trezor hardware wallet. So if your house burns down, you'll still have those 12 words somewhere else. Again, you don't want to ever share these 12 words online. Don't take a picture of them. Don't put them in an email. Don't upload them to the cloud, because there are bots and people searching for these 12 words. And if they find it, they will take your Bitcoin. When you want to send someone some Bitcoin from your software wallet or hardware wallet, I'll talk in particular here about a hardware wallet like a Trezor. What basically happens is you create a transaction, usually using some software on your desktop or laptop or phone, or on the hardware wallet using maybe a web interface, and then your computer sends that proposed transaction to your hardware wallet through the USB port. Your hardware wallet, your Trezor, will then sign that transaction using its private keys, which remain on the hardware wallet. That transaction is then sent back to your computer. and broadcast to the Bitcoin network, either using your own node if you're running your own node, and you should be running your own Bitcoin node for privacy, or using someone else's node is most common. People use Trezor's node, for example. But the only way to interact with a Bitcoin network is through a Bitcoin node, and you should learn how to run your own node. This is something I talk about in my course in detail. So again, just to review, a Bitcoin address, a public address, this is what you give to someone so they can send you some Bitcoin. It looks like one of these BC1 addresses. Often it will be displayed as a QR code that you can just scan with your phone camera or your desktop or laptop camera. Always use a fresh address as best practices. Most modern hardware wallets and software wallets will automatically generate a fresh address for you every time you need it. You can share this address, and you do need to share it in order to receive Bitcoin, but never share your Bitcoin private key. You'll probably never see the binary or decimal form as we saw, but those 12 words, you never want to share them. Again, anyone who knows those 12 words can just plug them into a new wallet, and then they will control the Bitcoin. And then what they'll do is they'll send it to another wallet where they control their own private keys. And the Bitcoin will be gone. And you can go to a court in Florida. You can go to a court in Florida and ask them to award you your Bitcoin, but it doesn't matter. Bitcoin doesn't care about legal courts. It only cares about whether you have the private keys. Here's an example of a Trezor I set up just for demo purposes. And this is basically all set up already, but I can click here on accounts, and you'll see that I can send and receive Bitcoin. So if I want to receive some Bitcoin on here, I can generate a fresh address right here. I can show the full address, copy it, give it to someone, and they can send me Bitcoin. And if I already had some Bitcoin on this hardware wallet, in order to send it to someone, I would just click send. I would type in the address right here, or I would scan the QR code. I would put the amount, and then I would send it to someone. So to answer Jeff Monica's question, you do not need to use an exchange to send Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer technology. You can receive Bitcoin from anyone. You can send it to anyone. You don't need to use an exchange. You don't need to get permission from the government or some corporation or someone in power or a judge, for example. You can send and receive Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer network. So I think we answered all these questions. Can a wallet send Bitcoin to another wallet? Yes. Wallets, as we've seen, generate addresses using the Bitcoin private keys. You can only connect your wallet to the blockchain, to the Bitcoin network using a node, either your own node or someone else's node, like your software wallet, Maker's node or Trezor or Ledger or Coldcard's node. And you can certainly send Bitcoin peer-to-peer, send it to your friends without involving an exchange. If you want to buy Bitcoin from an ATM, a Bitcoin ATM, where you put in cash and then it spits out Bitcoin, it doesn't really spit out the Bitcoin, but what you do is you give them an address that you control, like that BC1 address we talked about, and then the machine will send the Bitcoin to that public address. And then we also discussed if the wallet is, if your Bitcoin's in cold storage on a hardware wallet, how do you temporarily make it hot to transfer? You actually never make it hot. It's very secure. What happens is the transaction gets sent over to the hardware wallet. It's signed inside the hardware wallet and then sent back to your desktop. So your keys, your private keys, are never live and unencrypted on your computer where someone like a virus or malware or an attacker could steal them. If you found this video helpful, be sure to check out my paid courses as well. I have a lot of trading courses on trading if you want to learn how to trade stocks and options and futures. But what I've been focusing mostly on lately is developing this Bitcoin course. It's a huge number of lectures at this point. It includes how to buy Bitcoin anonymously, which is quite important as well. It teaches you how to run your own Bitcoin node and how to connect wallets to your Bitcoin node, etc. And you'll be covering some advanced concepts in the future as well. If you decide to buy my courses, you get access to all of them for the same price. It's a 30-day monthly subscription that you can cancel after the first month is up. There are no long-term contracts. But if you want to get the best price, just use the discount code YT99, as in YouTube 99, to get the best price when you check out. I would first, if I were you, I would first check out my all my free lectures on YouTube, all my free videos. And then once you've exhausted those and you really want to take things to the next level, you've gotten really serious about Bitcoin, that would be the time to check out this course. And I go into a lot of the details, the technical details of the network. I debunk a lot of the FUD surrounding Bitcoin. And so watching this course, working your way through this course, will also help you get those diamond hands. It'll help you to become a much stronger hodler, because you will really understand things like empty block attacks and final settlement assurances and why the real reason Bitcoin's so volatile, etc. This will make you a stronger holder or hodler of Bitcoin as well. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.